So, over the last few weeks, anybody that keeps up with the current events of the NBA world should know about the James Harden saga. It started with him requesting a trade, it continued on with him reporting late to training camp, there may or may not have been a few visits to the strip club in between, and all in all, there's been a lot of negative attention towards the situation. He's been getting dragged through the mud by virtually everybody with a platform in this field, and regarding some circumstances, it's absolutely deserved, but a lot of what I'm seeing is nothing but hyperbole, exaggeration, and just a flat-out lie. Which brings us to the topic of today's video. Today, we'll be discussing the entirety of the Harden situation in depth, and we'll be setting the record straight about exactly what has been bad about the situation, along with how so many people are lying to themselves about who he is as a player, and why he's absolutely worth the price tag that the Rockets have put on him if a trade were to go down. Before we start though, it turns out about 68% of you watching right now aren't even subscribed to the channel, so please, if you enjoy the content, consider hitting the subscribe button, as not only does it help out a ton, but I would also very much appreciate it. Now with that being said, let's begin. James Harden has always been a controversial figure in the eyes of many NBA fans because year in and year out he's put up absurd production and is always in the MVP conversation, but he also seemingly always comes up just shy of the ultimate goal in the playoffs. He doesn't have a finals appearance during his tenure with the Houston Rockets, and in his time with the team, they've come so close on quite a few occasions, but just couldn't get over the hump. Because of this, Harden, being the competitor that he is, finally had enough and requested a trade, with several contenders reportedly being on the list of teams that he would have liked to be traded to. Early on, it started with him seeking a trade to either the Brooklyn Nets or the Philadelphia 76ers, then the Miami Heat got added to the list, and more recently, teams like the Denver Nuggets, Boston Celtics, and Portland Trail Blazers have all been added to it as well, and as time progresses without a trade being made, yet more and more people within the fan bases of those teams seem to be against making a move for Harden, with a variety of excuses for why. But I'm here to tell you right now that a lot of these excuses are complete nonsense, and you're lying to yourself if you wouldn't want your favorite team to trade for James Harden. The disrespect that James Harden gets by a majority of the NBA audience is completely ridiculous, so allow me to quickly remind you of who he actually is. Since 2015, Harden has won the MVP award once, he's finished as the runner-up for the award 3 times, and he's been a finalist for the award once more on top of that. He single-handedly makes your team's offense one of the best in the league because of his ability to generate points not only for himself, but for those around him at an elite level. In 2019, the Rockets were the second best offense in the NBA. In 2018, they were the best in the league. In 2017, they were third best, and so on, you get the point. Plus, yesterday, he made his season debut with the Rockets without 4 of his best teammates, as John Wall, DeMarcus Cousins, Eric Gordon, and Ben McLemore were all out because of COVID protocol, and in the team's season opener against the Portland Trail Blazers, he demonstrated to the world that he's still as elite as ever, putting up 44 points and 17 assists in the game, taking the Blazers to overtime and knocking down countless clutch shots down the stretch before coming up just short at the end. The Blazers are a very good team, mind you, and Harden went out with Christian Wood and the bench mob and almost took them down single-handedly, which is just something very few others can reciprocate. Sure, his best chance at a ring happened to coincide with the greatest team ever assembled back in 2018 when they were a Chris Paul injury away from winning that series against peak Golden State, and they haven't had as good of a chance since. We've seen so many examples of players growing frustrated in their current situations and looking for greener pastures elsewhere by requesting trades, with recent examples being Kawhi Leonard, Kyrie Irving, Kevin Durant, and more, so if Harden doesn't think the Rockets can win a championship, then I can't blame him for wanting to compete for a ring somewhere else. Now we're about to shift to the main focus of the video, being how underrated and undervalued Harden has seemingly become throughout this whole process. With every team that I mentioned earlier that is on Harden's preferred list of teams to be traded to, there have been hesitations from every team and their fan base about the price tag to get him. The Miami Heat have reportedly told them that Tyler Hero is off the table in trade discussions, and the Denver Nuggets refuse to include Jamal Murray. The Celtics won't trade Jaylen Brown, the Sixers won't trade Ben Simmons, and so on. Let me just say right now that the likelihood of any of those players ever becoming even remotely close to the level of play that Harden is at any point in their careers is pretty much 0%. So this romanticization of the young guys because of their promise is genuinely maddening at times. Tyler Hero has done absolutely nothing to warrant labeling him as an untouchable asset, especially when in talks for one of the greatest offensive talents in the league right now and of all time. If anybody else in the league just put up 44 points and 17 assists in a game without their best teammates, then it would be headline news for weeks. But for James Harden, it's just another game because that's the standard that he plays to on a regular basis and holds himself to, which is a standard that 99% of the league could only dream of getting to. He has so many games like this that we've just become used to it, which is actually crazy when you think about it. Now, as for the specific teams in these hypothetical trade offers, the Nuggets, we just watched them get all the way to the cusp of a finals appearance, so they especially should be hungry to build off of that, and Jamal Murray, while he is trending in the right direction, he's never been an all-star caliber player, and he's often too inconsistent, again, to be labeled as untouchable. The Nuggets, with the shot creation and playmaking ability of James Harden, alongside Nikola Jokic, is actually what would put them over the edge, and after establishing themselves as a legit threat in last year's playoffs, would be even more dangerous this year. The same can be said about all of the other teams and their young prospects too, but as fans we always fall in love with the idea of winning with our guys and overvaluing them because of how we personally feel about them. But then regarding the Philadelphia 76ers trade situation, it actually becomes a bit more difficult. Unlike every other team in the discussions, the Sixers have an asset in Ben Simmons that is an established two-way stud coming off of a season where he landed on both the All-NBA list and the All-Defense list, which cannot be said about any of the other assets proposed in hypothetical Harden trade offers. Simmons is one of the best playmakers in the league, he genuinely has Defensive Player of the Year potential, and his impact extends into so many different aspects of the game. However, his biggest weakness happens to be an area that the Sixers lack in order to take that next step towards title contention, as he's not really much of a shooter or shot creator for himself, and James Harden undoubtedly makes the team better right now. In case all of you don't know this, I personally happen to be a 76ers fan, so this is something I've thought long and hard about, and the trade-off of keeping Ben for a longer window into title contention, or shortening that window by giving him up for Harden while improving their chances now, and after going back and forth countless times, I really think that this trade is one that should be proposed. Ben is the best offer that the Rockets are going to get, maybe with a few picks attached, and he gives the Rockets a terrific piece to reshape themselves around for the future while the Sixers go all in on winning. Any concerns people may have about what Harden does off the court are just being disingenuous, because he's always performed on the court and his life away from basketball has never interfered with what he's done as a player. The pros heavily outweigh the cons in this situation, and thinking otherwise is simply just bringing your emotions and personal feelings about him into the discussion. James Harden is a historic talent, and wherever he goes, the team will dramatically improve. He gave us a taste of what he's still capable of doing yesterday, and after that, I think a deal will be done somewhere very soon. And with that being said, that's all I have for you today. Make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and comment down below where you think James Harden will be traded. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you all next time.